If you found this podcast, chances are you're a high achiever and you're successful. But now you're stuck and stressed, and you realize that everything you've created hasn't given you the fulfillment and the joy you thought it would. This is where we discuss the keys of high performance mindset and stepping into the next best version of yourself. Welcome to the Positive Persistence Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Persistence Podcast. Today we are joined by a true trailblazer. She has broken free from the noise and discovered what it truly means to thrive. Kristy Kuhl, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I am excited to talk to you and kind of dig into your brain and help our listeners and viewers step into the next best version of themselves that we kind of talked about before we hit record on this bad boy. So just a little background for our viewers and our listeners who may not be familiar with Kristy Kuhl. You're a speaker, you're a high performance coach, podcast host, you're hosting your own events. How do you do it all?
You just take one step at a time. You just, you create the vision, you see what it is that you want, and then you show up and you take a step every single day towards that vision. And that's really the secret.
It sounds simple, but it's not easy. Right?
Yeah. And I think that's what all this is. You said it so beautifully. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's still hard.
Yes, very hard. And I hope that we can kind of demystify some of this for some of our viewers. And as we talked about, I think that one of the big things that stands in people's way is belief. That's one. And something else is distraction and quote unquote, the noise. And I know that's something that you help people break free from. And I was hoping you could kind of unpack, in your view, what is the noise? Because for some of us, I think that we are aware that there is noise, but we don't exactly know what it is. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that, the first noise that I had to overcome was the noise in my own head. Right? The voices. And sometimes they're having conversations with each other. Sometimes they're ganging up against me, it seems like, if I'm not taking care of myself and I don't have full control of what's going on up here and the inputs and the boundaries and all of those things. You have to make sure that you're controlling all of that. And so, I grew up, a lot of people don't realize that I grew up in a one-stoplight town, and I was, and still am, incredibly sensitive. I get my feelings hurt. I was always looking for acceptance and is this okay? And is that okay? It's easy now looking back, and when I help other people unleash to go, okay, gosh, the earliest memory I have, Ian, of changing who I was to get love and acceptance and to not be made fun of was 8 years old. But I knew to do it then, so it had to have happened beforehand. And so I think for all of us just to realize that there's this natural conditioning that we all do for love and acceptance and to be seen and heard and to keep our jobs. Well, I just kind of continued that. And I chose environments where I had to be a certain way in order to thrive. And it served me well because I was good at taking direction and made a lot of money and a lot of success in the medical device industry doing that. But what I realized now, Ian, was that was easier than me going, okay, who is Kristy Kuhl and what is it that she actually wants? Because that was all the friction that was happening inside of me. So it seemed as if every time I would feel the friction and want to step out and be more of who I am and unleash my individuality, I was in environments that I created, that I chose unconsciously, that made it really, really hard. And that's when the voices would really come, like, are you good enough, right? Like, you weren't accepted when you did this before. Whether that was true or not, that's what my child mind had told me. So the first noise that I had to quiet was all this stuff in my head. And the tactics that I teach now is like, who are you spending time with? Who do you feel great around? Who do you not feel great around? Well, that's pretty easy to go, okay, well, let me spend more time over here and less time over there.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Sometimes we have to give the words and examples of how do you kind of slowly back out of this situation and get yourself more aligned to others. So that's number one. And then number two really is the noise of the environment. And when you can get crystal clear on what it is you want, which is the second hardest thing that I find for people, including myself, then it becomes very easy to say, okay, that's getting me closer to my goal, and this is not getting me closer to my goal. So why am I doing that? And that becomes the noise that, again, sometimes we need tips and tactics to go, okay, how do I get out of that? How do I say no to that? Because I'm saying yes to it because I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I've always said yes. So really understanding what it is that you want. We only have so many hours in the day. And I always say I'm an introvert. Like, I wake up and I have a full charge if I took care of myself the right way. If I sat in the sauna, if I worked out, if I got good sleep, if I feel good about myself, if I laughed, I got to pull a prank or two. No, just kidding. If I did that, then I charge my battery to 100%. But when I start the day at 100%, the more things I say yes to that aren't getting me closer to my goal is it's taken from my battery. So we really have to make a conscious, concerted effort to only say yes to the things that are getting us what we want.
Right. For those of us who are in a life that we feel maybe we didn't create, we kind of ended up here, and we've had kids, and we're maybe either an at-home person, or we're in maybe a job that we're not super fulfilled with. And you talk about the charge, right, in your battery, and you've gotten up, you're charged up, but now you're doing the things that you have to do, such as get the kids off, get them fed, get their lunches ready, get them off to school, get to work on time. And maybe by the time that you're done doing those things, now you're already feeling a little drained.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, well, okay, now life is happening to me. How do I make it happen for me and step into the life that I really do want to live?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is figuring out, what does that life look like? Because the reality of it is we all have things that we don't want to do that we have to do. I don't want to fold
Right.
my laundry ever, Ian. I hate folding laundry. I hate putting it away. I'm really good at shoving it in the washer and the dryer. After that,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, where's the gremlins that come out and the fairies that do the
Right.
rest of the stuff? So, I think it's really good to see, like, where can I outsource? Where in my life can I outsource? Because the more you're away from your zone of genius, the more you're going to feel like your battery's drained even more. So in
Yeah.
that scenario, like, are the kids old enough to pack their own lunch? Can we make this fun? Can we set a timer and do it as fast as we possibly can? I mean, we all have to do those things, but we have to be very efficient at getting the things done that we don't want to get done. And then when it's time to change gears, how do you get your mindset back to where's the focus at again? Like, for me, music is everything. Like, I put on a playlist. Ian, I have had two tens in the back of every car that I've had for 2 decades. It is like a thing. I love it. I love the more bass, the louder the music. It's in every house. Like, it is just my thing.
Yeah.
Well, like, for other people, maybe it's looking at your vision board and being like, okay, I like have your routine that triggers your brain to go, okay, now it's time to work, Kristy. Now it's time to get your head back on straight. And you can do the same thing. Like, what if you had a sales call that went bad, or somebody said no, or somebody didn't believe in my coaching program, or didn't think I was the right one for the speaker to be a speaker? I think
Yeah.
it's all the same stuff where we're like, oh, now I'm back down here. What is your system to get yourself back and be like, oh, no, 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 no. John Gordon says it a lot, like, talk to yourself, don't listen to yourself. So you do have control. You can, it may not be as drastic as what I did and leaving a big job, but what's one step you can do after you get the kids off to school and you've done 2 hours of stuff that feels like it wasn't anything? No, wait a minute. Where can I take control in my life? Where can I infuse myself with high energy again? What do I need to look at so my goals are right there? And maybe it's a conversation with a partner too. Like, hey, I need 1 extra hour. I need some help here. I think that we underestimate how much power we actually do have. We just have to recognize that it is up to us to have the conversations and to figure out. And sometimes that's the value of having a coach or having a mentor or friend that can say,
Absolutely.
how can I get out of this? And what if you just, like, did one or two things that brought you back up and made you feel like you're working towards your goal? It could be 15 minutes where you put a post up or you made a phone call to go, okay, I'm at least I'm working towards it. It may not be 5 hours worth, but I'll tell you, you'll probably get more done in that 15 minutes than you were with 5 hours anyway. Those of us that have a lot of time on our hands, that's a whole nother set of problems.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes I envy the person that's like, oh, I got 5 minutes in the car line. I can't overthink this. I just got to send the message. I'll hire that mom and every day of the week.
Right.
They get it
What
done.
what is that? Is that the Pareto principle? I might have misnamed that, but you will get the task that you have given the time or a lot of the time for. That's when you'll get it done. So if you say I've only got 5 minutes to do it, you're going to get it done in that 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. So what if all you had was 5 minutes and you took 5 minutes to move closer to getting the life that you want? Whether it was research, it was a message that you sent, it was just like doing some self-reflection and discovery.
Yeah.
A lot of us need to start there. Like, who am I right now? In this, at 44 years of age, who is Kristy Kuhl? And what do I want right now? And it's okay. It's okay to want something different than what your life looks like or what you had last chapter.
Right. So it's giving yourself permission to start thinking differently. And that kind of brings it to another question. So I know that one of the things, and you've already kind of touched on this a little bit. One of the things that you say is we only get one shot at life.
Yeah.
If not now, then when? And I just wonder, like, why do you think most people, that's even a question for them? Like, what holds most people back in not taking that shot right now and kind
Yeah.
of sitting back a little bit and waiting, waiting for what? I don't know, but most of us aren't taking the quote unquote bull by the horns and taking our shot. Like, now is the best time to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you've heard me recently say, like, I feel like I'm up against the clock. Like, all of a sudden, I'm like, whoa, I'm 44, like, which I think you can start at any age, but for me, that's a lot of motivation to go, okay, let's do this thing. Like,
Yeah.
let's really go for it because it does take time once you step out on the path. But the first thing that stops everybody is worthiness. Most people don't feel like they're worthy
Mm-hmm.
of whatever it is that they want, that they're good enough.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And number two, thinking that there's something spectacular about the people that do have it. We just have better strategies of being able to deal with the moments that everybody else deals with too. Those moments of feeling unworthy. And number three is, what if we fail? What's everybody going to think? That's, I
Right.
think, the three things that stops everybody. What is everybody going to think? What am I going to tell them? It's a lot of what I help people with is like, who gives a flying shit what people think? But I'll tell you that I was raised in a home that was the first question, was like, what are people going to think? So it stopped me a lot. And now I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what people think, And I think David Goggins said it. I heard him recently, and it was, every time you expose yourself to new information, I feel like I hear what I'm supposed to hear. It's why I keep showing up to coaching and to events that you put on, Ian. And it's like David Goggins had said, going from 99% to 100% is where he's at right now. And he said, that's a whole nother level of being misunderstood that you got to be okay with. And that resonated with me, that was something that was, that's another piece that I need to venture through, is being okay that people don't get it.
Yeah, that's really, God, you talked about your, going back to your child mind. And, for me, that perception piece goes back to my childhood, where my father really instilled in me that it was very important to value what other people thought of you. And especially just visually, like, you need to be dressed a certain way. You need to look your best wherever you go, because other people are watching you, perceiving you. They are creating a perception of you by how you carry yourself or how you speak. And for the longest time, it was really difficult for me to live in the vision that he had for me, because that's not who I wanted to be. And if he had his way, I would have been the cookie cutter version of him, which I was till like age 13, until I started thinking for myself. And then we started having some issues. But it's really hard for people to go through that misconception or misperception, I guess we'll call it, wall, to walk through that and really be comfortable with saying, I don't care what other people think. Because a lot of us say that, but we actually really, really do care what other people.
Yeah, yeah, and you're absolutely right. We do care, and I want everybody to love me. I want to land with every single person. I want to be liked.
Yeah.
But if I don't land with you, or if like, at the end of the day, I have to look myself in the mirror and say, was I true to me?
Mhm.
Was I true to me? Am I living out
Yeah.
my life? And there's like, just because I didn't return a phone call, there's people that want access or whatever it is, people are going to feel a certain way. I can't control that. I have to stay true to me. And if for me, Ian, if I look in the mirror and I go, okay, I stayed true to my value. Did I do good today, Kristy? Like, and if the answer is yes, I stayed true to my values. I tried really hard. I really focused on communication and connection with other people. And I was true to myself. But to your point, I do want to be liked. I don't want to be liked to the point, though, that I'm robbing myself of who I am, because
Right.
I've done that for so many years. And I think that's the distinction that I think we all need to make in our mind is I did a good job. I tried really hard to be a good person today, but I'm not going to change who I am in order to get love and acceptance from you.
Yeah. And I think that really speaks to if not now, then when. Like a
Yeah.
lot of us need to wake up and realize, am I true to myself? Am I living to someone else's standards and not my own? You and I, we've both gone through Ben Newman's course, his coaching program, and he talks about the standard,
Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of us aren't, first of all, haven't created the standard for who we want to be and how we want to be. And
Mhm.
we're living by other people's standards, and we're okay with that. And I'm speaking from experience, just from, going into my own past life, being in a relationship, in a marriage where I wasn't living to who I wanted to be. I was
Mhm.
very, I don't know what I want to say here, but I was trying to be careful. I was very, pleasing, if you will. I was always, doing things that, I felt were serving somebody else and not necessarily myself. And that lowered the standard of who I wanted to be. And that really kept me in a box, if you will. And I wasn't able to step into the next best version of myself because I wasn't allowing myself to get in touch with who I really was and who I really wanted to be. And I think that what you're talking about is so important because life doesn't and time doesn't wait
Mm.
for anybody, right?
No.
And if you don't take charge of your life, if you don't create that standard that you want to live up to now, when is it going to happen?
Yeah, I interviewed a death doula on my podcast, and I'm like, I always want to know, like, what's coming next. I have a lot of friends that are older than me, because I'm like, what now? What? Because I don't think I'm going to be immune, but I could probably, if I can wrap my head around this, maybe I can do better. When I interviewed her, I was like, what's
Yeah.
it like at the end? Like, how many of these did you do? And she said, over 1,000. I was like, no way. Okay. So, like, is there any consistencies of what they're thinking? She said, yeah. And I'm like, okay, what's the top one? She said, regret.
Mm,
She said, now here you are. You can't get back out of bed. Hospice is here. We're here to help you make this transition. And you can't try. And I said, what held him back? And she said, fear of what other people will think is what. And she said there was 2 out of the 1,000, and that as soon as she walked in the house, she could just feel the energy was different. And she said that once I met everybody and met the person and spent the time with, they left nothing on the table. They tried everything. And I thought, that's the thing. Like, and I think that you have to find the motivator for yourself. Like, what is the thing that's going to ignite that in you? Just that hearing that story ignited me. The other thing that motivates me too, Ian, is if I see somebody who isn't as good at what I believe that I'm capable of doing it, and it's only because they took action and I didn't, gosh, that irritates the tar out of me. It makes me so, and so I go, okay, you know what? I'm jealous of that, and good for her or good for him. Now, how can I, that's a clue to me that I need to find a way out. I need to find a way out of whatever this trap I've put myself into, and just freaking go.
yeah.
And for me, it's, if you have the self-reflection and the discovery to go, okay, when do I feel the most courageous? It only takes a moment of courage to make some of these movements. And for me, it's getting in the rooms. It's getting in the rooms. It's my energy's heightened, and if I take action in those moments, it's like, ooh, all right. Like, I just did it. So now I got to follow through. It's being around the right people. It's doing Ben's program. It's surrounding with myself with people like you versus the people that are like, oh, I don't think I could ever do that, Kristy. Are you sure you want to do that? Like, you're always working. Well, you know what? I like it. I like it. So where's the people that are going to be like, yeah, yeah, let me tell you what helped me.
Right.
That's how you do it. But
Yeah.
you have to like put yourself and hear enough of these stories to go, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. And I dated somebody not too long ago that I was like, you know what? I can't fly like this. I can't fly as open as I am right now because it's going to take something away from him. And because I wanted the relationship so bad, I could just see myself doing that. I just was like, okay,
Hmm.
it's okay. You know what? I want love so much, so bad. I can just do this. And I'm like, no, I think that there's a man out there that I can do this if I want to, and I can do that too. And just realizing that you can have it all. You just have to first believe and then get yourself around the right people and go for it.
Yeah. God.
Or play out the other thing. Play out the life the way that it is right now. Are you cool with having it always be somebody else's fault? It's the boss's fault, it's the husband's fault. It's no. I'm not here to make the choice for you. But if you want to make the choice to come over here, we have the tools and the structure to help you do it.
Yeah. God, there are so many things that you just said that I would love to
Let's do
travel
it.
down those paths.
Let's do it.
Man. But I mean, if I did, we would talk all day. Um, I want to touch on something else that I've heard you say before, and that is it's your systems, not your goals, that determine your level of success. So
Yeah.
when we're kind of talking about stepping into the next best version of yourself, or chasing down, getting in touch with who you are and what you want, and we're talking about our goals. So it seems like that's the important piece, is like figuring out what you want in life, what your goals are, and then go after them. But a lot of people don't know how to do that, right? So it's interesting that you're saying that it's really not your goals that are going to determine your success. It's your systems
Yeah.
that are going to do that for you.
Yeah, so true. And we talked a little bit about one of them, like, how do you get your mind in the right place? How do you like kind of get back to this place of wanting to take action and realizing that, okay, that didn't go so good, or I just served everybody else for 8 hours and I'm not getting, how do you get your mind? That's a system, right? For me, it's music. Like all I gotta do is throw on music and certain songs and boom, right? Or I have Ben Newman's book sitting right there. You think I can look at that book and not be like, not question what I'm doing at this moment?
Right.
Right? So who are those
Yeah.
people that just like make you sit up a little straighter in your chair and go, okay, that's a system. When it comes to specific goals, you set the goal, but I've done this for years and years and years in the sales world. What are the highest paying activities that are going to get me closer to that goal every single day? And I can take an example of being an operating room rep for a number of years. Well, we had huge numbers to hit. If my team was supporting cases all day long for 14 hours a day and they're not having new conversations, are they going to reach their goals? No. They're customer service, but that was part of the job. So it's like, okay, you have to stop and go, what am I doing right now? And is this getting me closer to my goal? And identify what are those things that you can do every single day that'll get you closer. And I shared an example on a call that I think you were on. I want to be on more stages. Well, if I'm not telling people that I want to be in more stages and people don't know that I'm a speaker, am I going to get on more stages? No. So if I reverse engineer that and go, okay, well, right now, I don't know how many conversations I have to have. If I knew how many conversations, I'd say, okay, I need to have 10 every single day. So I've set a number for myself that I need to post once a week of a picture of myself speaking so people have that awareness. I need to reach out and let people know, be on podcasts and share this. Somebody's listening. I need to do that multiple times throughout a week. And I need to look for opportunities. I've set up a Google search that drops into my email of events that are happening in Charlotte, annual events. Well, gosh, they need a speaker, right? They could use a high performance speaker. Am I going and reaching out to those HR departments every single week? So now I have a scorecard for myself that every single day I need to do these three things. That's speaking. Then, I have this Unleashed Women's program coming up. Okay, so how many women am I talking to and how many conversations am I having? Now I have my scorecard. Here's the 5 things that I have to do every single day. And if I've reverse engineered my goals to the scorecard, one, it makes it more attainable.
Yeah.
Two, now I can time block and go, okay, I have 1 hour and I'm going to hit all of these things that I know are going to get me closer to my goal. And of course, there's refining that needs to happen there. But that's what I mean by that. That's a system. That's a system of going, okay, here's the goal. Boom. Now I reversed engineer it. Here's the scorecard. Here's the activities. Another system is I'm going to time block. It's, every morning, no matter what happens, as soon as I sit here, Ian, before I get started, all my alerts are off. They always are. Nothing is ringing or dinging. I'm going to spend an
Yeah.
hour and I'm going to knock this thing out.
Mhm.
Right. So now I've got my system. Now, before that, I've gotten up, I've eaten, I've hydrated, I've gone to the gym, I've listened to my music, I've gotten my mindset in a system. So now Kristy Kuhl is ready to show up and take action. And now I know what my scorecard is. And
Right.
I think we should do that in every single area of our life. Relationships are really important to me. That's on my scorecard. Who did I reach out to every single day to say, you are important to me. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. Remember this one time, or here's a funny story, a memory, whatever it is. So what we don't focus on, we don't achieve. And then that's when the world comes at us and then we get frustrated. And frustration to me is a sign that I'm off somewhere. So whenever I feel frustrated, I go, okay, whoa, hang on a second. What's going on? I'm out of control. I need to be back in control. Did I do the things that are important to me?
Yeah.
And part of the system, Ian, is reminding ourselves. Because I can say this to you, but after this call, I have a coaching call with my coach. My house cleaner is going to come. I got to go walk my dog. Like, did I remember the thing that I wanted to do? I'm going to forget too, right? Life's going to happen. Somebody's going to cancel. I have a high, profile client that I'm on call for, whatever. So I have sticky notes. I have them wherever I need to. I have alerts on my phone. I have double and triple systems in place to make sure that I don't forget. Because guess what? I'm human too.
Right.
I just have good systems in place to make sure that I stay on track.
It's time to ask yourself, when was the last time you prioritized you? Did you know that research shows that nearly 85% of high performers struggle to maintain a performance mindset while juggling the demands of work and personal life? Those who actively prioritize their performance mindset and personal growth are 30% more likely to achieve their goals in business and life. If you're feeling crippling stress and anxiety, or if you're feeling guilty when you take a moment for yourself, or if you're stuck in the grind and feeling burnt out, you're not alone. Many of us yearn for more, but struggle with the fear of being judged or feeling selfish. And you want to step into the next best version of yourself. That's why I created the Rinse method, which got me from paraplegic to marathon runner. Backed by science-based proven strategies and now customized for high performers like you. If you're stuck and stressed and want clear steps that you can implement today to move forward, make sure you visit thepositivepersistence.com to download our free Rinse PDF. I love that because systems are so important, and they can help us deal with, all the noise, right? As you've mentioned so many things just now, you talked about like having a morning routine. You talked about mindset. You talked about, I feel like you mentioned gratitude in there as well. That is so important to really include into your daily life to be able to live your best life. And you also were talking about, determining your level of success by kind of taking action. And what I feel you're talking about really is you're shifting your state, or realizing that you're in a state in which you need to take action. So by listening to the music or getting into the rooms, and you mentioned this the other day on your call where you're energized and you're feeling like you are jacked up, you're juiced, you're ready to go. That's the time to take the action, because then when that feeling fades and that state now is different, you're less likely to take that risk, right? But when you're feeling, you're in that moment, you've got the courage, you've got the energy, you've got what you need to take that next step. So I guess I'm building that up for you to kind of break that down a little bit and explain kind of what that is. Because I really feel like what you're talking about is energy states and how they can go in flux, but you need to really take advantage of when you either find yourself in a certain state or actually put yourself there purposely.
Yeah, I talk about manufacturing a lot. And so I think step one is the discovery and the reflection to go, okay, when do I feel my strongest? When do I feel the most confident? Who am I around? Whose presence? Well, it's when I'm around the Ian Bowens of the world. Like I need more. I want only that in my life, like the vast majority of time. And then if I have the other stuff come in, it's like, oh, it's really easy to see the distinction. And then also like I'm strong enough to go deal with whatever and then come back. And now I have my Ians of the world. For me, it's working out, you know,
Yeah.
the endorphin release is real. So I had shared on that call that I keep my chicken list on the front seat of my car. I've always had a chicken list. I think we all do. It's like, oh, it's a text you're afraid to send, whether it's to like the girl you like, the guy that you like, whatever it is, the conversation, the boundary, the sales call. I take those bold moves, Ian, when I leave the rooms, the personal development rooms, the Ben Newman boot camps, the whatever calls, the working out, and when I leave live TV, I know that my energy's here. So when my energy is down is when I'm in my place all by myself and I haven't had human interaction. Well, that's when I'm in my head the most. So I realize that I need to create an environment where I don't have a lot of those moments. And guess what? I already know that I'm down a little bit, so I could jack the music up and I can get myself there if I need to, and I can. But wouldn't it be also a good thing to not have to just kind of reduce the amount of time that I do have those moments too? So for me, it's like I look at, okay, I was at the Aspire tour. Okay, well, I'm going to purposely leave a little bit of time and I'm going to take some big action right after that. I was on TV 2 days ago. Okay, well, I left a little bit of time because as soon as I get in my car, before I even drive back out of the gates of the Today Show, I'm sending text messages. Same thing. I sit in my car sometimes after I leave Burn Boot Camp. So you have to recognize and leverage your physiology and also make sure you have those moments frequently on your calendar so that you can keep yourself in that peak state. So the morning routine gets me there. You
Yeah.
can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. And, anxiety will stop everything for me. That gets me in my head. So just recognizing what you're grateful for and also knowing that you want more and knowing that it's okay is a huge deal. And again, it's a system. So just recognize what works for you, and maybe just hearing my ideas helps you self-reflect and go like, that works for me too, or this works for me. Oh, that doesn't work for me. I'm a runner. That's fine. I don't care what it is. Just realize what it is. I'm like, for me, there's no filters in the morning, Ian. I'm up at 4 a.m. almost every single day. But by 9 o'clock, I shouldn't be allowed to drive a car. Like, I'm just not here. So that's not my time to even try to force anything. So why would I do that? It's just going to take longer. I'm going to be frustrated. So I'm going to get a good night's sleep and I'll get up at 4 a.m. and do it. So, I've had people before say, can you take me off the list? I'm like, I don't even know what list we're talking about. And they're like, this 4:30 a.m. text list. And I'm like, oh, your phone's on. You have your alerts on? Well, that's when I send my gratitude texts, or I respond to messages. I have no filters at that time. I'm in my heart.
Mhm.
The world hasn't gotten to me. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm getting every download that I'm supposed to, if you believe in a higher power, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Well, I know that about myself. So I'm going to leverage that. 9 o'clock at night, I can tidy up my place. That's about all I can do.
Yeah. Because by that point you're depleted now.
I'm done.
Right.
Yeah. I got like 1%, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that totally. So you help your clients and the people that you work with understand who they are and what makes them happy and what burning desires they want to go after, and designing a life that they want to show up for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a big part of that, correct me if I'm wrong, is helping them identify what they want, and not what necessarily, and we kind of talked about this already, what society wants or what others may want for you. And I wonder, is that where you were when you decided to leave your corporate role and step into your current life? Did you, at that point in your life, identify either something else that you wanted or something totally different that you wanted because you weren't maybe fulfilled or satisfied with where you were before?
Yeah, I was running off of somebody else's definition of success, but I thought it was my own. I
Okay.
thought that the success on paper, the cars, the money, I thought that was what I wanted. And
Mm.
it's true. I do want all of that, Ian. Like I'm not giving that up.
Yeah.
And I want peace and joy and happiness. And I want to be Kristy Kuhl every single day. I don't want to have to fit into a box. And so I couldn't do both of those things in the environment that I was in.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those words though. I wish I did. All I had, Ian, was a feeling that something's off, like something's off, something. And I started going like, well, why is she okay with this? Why is she okay with having all of her time wasted? Why is she okay playing this political corporate game? Why? I don't want to be out to dinner every single night with people I don't want to hang out with. Like that stuff really, really annoyed me. Talk about frustration. So for the longest time, I just kept going like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I got to get better. Like something's wrong with me. And I don't think that's bad to go, okay, where can I get better? It birthed a
Mhm.
lot of these systems that I have to make, because I was like, okay, let's get faster. Let's get more agile. Let's move quicker. Let's figure out what to say. Let's say it better. Let's whatever. Let's get ahead of this. So that was all great. But at the end of the day, when I was left with Kristy, and if I just had to sit here all day and like stare at this wall in front of me, how am I feeling right now? And that's why I left, Ian, was that I felt friction. I didn't feel like, and I had no words to it. What I could tell you was what I didn't want anymore. I didn't want to be in those environments. I wanted to sleep. I wanted to worry about things that I could control, not things that I can't control. So I share that because I think there's a lot of people out there that may say, if your why doesn't make you cry, your why is not big enough. Well, that stopped me in my tracks. So I was like, oh, my why doesn't make me cry, but going back there makes me cry, makes me want to think about crying, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes it's just a matter of going like, what don't I want anymore? Like start there in this path of self-discovery. And I could think about it like when I got married, Ian, I knew he wasn't my guy. And like my body told me like this is not my guy, but then I'm like, oh, but he'll be such a great dad. Well, that's somebody else. Like, oh, but he's supportive of my career. Well, that's somebody else, right? All these other things, I wasn't listening to myself. And I think that because sometimes we don't have the words to describe it,
Yeah.
and we feel like we owe every freaking person an explanation
Yeah.
besides ourselves. Like one of the things that's really helpful is for me to just help people say like, just let people know that I don't know yet. And I don't want to talk about it, but just know I'm okay. No, I'm okay. I'm good. And I'm going to figure this out. And I just need your love and support. And I'm going to go on a journey and I'm probably going to change my mind. And I need you to support that. Just know I'm okay. Those are some of the things that really stopped me. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I stepped out of on the path and I put myself in an environment where I felt like I could be Kristy, that I was enough exactly the way that I am. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get better, but I'm going to be loved and accepted as me.
Right.
Not all these definitions that I was really good at making myself be and to thrive. Does that make sense?
More than you know. I relate with that so much. Also being in a past relationship in my first marriage, and so much of what you just said it resonates pretty deeply with me, actually. But I want to go back to a word that you used, a little 3-letter word that is so powerful, and it's and.
Yeah.
Right? You
My
said that you
favorite word.
had all the success, the cars, the money, and you wanted that, and you also wanted to be this other person, this quote unquote new Kristy, the Kristy that you wanted to be. And I feel that a lot of us feel that we don't use that 3-letter word. We use a 2-letter word that's much smaller, and that's or. And how do we break out of or and get into and? How do we give ourselves the permission to explore that and more and know that it's not an either or, but there can be an and.
You have to believe. It goes back to the same things that we talked about in the beginning. You have to believe that that is possible. And sometimes you have to see it and you have to hear stories like this to go, wow, you can do that. That's why I think a lot of people stay stuck where they are because you start going, well, there's all these great things. I can just put up with this. I can just put up with the way he treats me or this or whatever it is. I can put up with
Mhm.
corporate America. Shit, I'm making $470,000 a year. That's good enough, right? No, it's not. It's not good enough. So it's okay. Money makes you more of who you are. You can have money and be a great person and give it away and use it for good
Yeah.
and still sleep good at night. It's not an either or. I don't have to be. And the thing that helped me realize that, Ian, again, was seeing, because I was in my, we don't infuse, most people don't infuse themselves with new experiences and new information in order to get new beliefs and new perspectives.
Yeah.
But we stay with the same mindset, the same thoughts, the same people, and we think that we're going to do better, but you can't because you got the same inputs. It's like
Right.
all the same stuff. So you can rearrange it, but you're still hiding the vegetables under the mashed potatoes. Like it's like it's all still here, guys. So
Right.
when I went to this Tony Robbins event and I was in a room full of platinum partners. And at that time, to be a platinum partner, I wasn't. I was there as a guest. It's like 150 grand to be part of that. These people had success on paper that was wildly higher than mine. So I imagine going in this room and everybody's just as stressed as I am, right? No, man, they were having fun and enjoying their life. And so in my mind, I was thinking like, well, this level of responsibility and money comes with all these things, this
Yeah.
story, this narrative, because it's the beliefs I had. But getting myself in that environment gave me new information. It gave me new perspective and it made me self-reflect and be like, oh, I'm doing something wrong, man. Like there's something really wrong here because they have more pressure than I have and they're
Yeah.
happy. They're happy. So I think exposure is amazing and finding people that believing it and then seeking out, and it could be books, it could be podcasts, it could be getting in the rooms, could be whatever to help you realize that this is possible. And then it's up to you. It comes if it's meant to be, it's up to me. So then
Yeah.
now, you just have to realize that you're in this situation because you've made all these choices. And now that you see, are you going to unsee or are you going to do something about it? And that's a personal choice. I can't make that for you. I can give you the stories and the examples and the system to do it. But at the end of the day, you have to want it.
That's the question, right?
Yep.
That's the question that I find that, I ask the people that I work with is how bad do you want it? Like, really? Because once you get past all the excuses and you mentioned it, why it's someone else's fault or why I can't or why I tried or why I won't or why I don't, which are 4 of the 5 words that I don't allow people that I work with to say because those are all negative words. They are powerless words that lead to self-doubt and limiting self-belief.
Yeah.
But if you're using those words and you're letting them stop you from moving forward, how bad do you really want to move forward? I remember
Mm.
a couple of years ago listening to Eric Thomas on YouTube.
Love him.
And, he said something that has stuck with me ever since is like, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe,
Yeah.
then it's going to happen. And that has stuck with me because that's so true. It's like, really, really, how bad do you want this?
Yeah.
You can say it all you want, but like, do you mean it? Do you feel it? Because if you do, then you will do whatever it takes to go after it and get it.
Yep.
And you are so right that you have to put yourself in new situations to be able to expose yourself to new types of thinking, different types of energy, other ideas. And if you stay in that safety net of your comfort zone, of that bubble of doing the same things how you always done them, then you're always going to get what you've always got, right? That's the old adage. Do what
Yep.
you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. But you are a shining example of, stepping out of that comfort zone and wanting more and making it okay. Right. I think some people, including myself, have struggled with like, God, is it okay to want more? Like,
Yeah.
is good enough really not okay? Right.
Well, if you're asking yourself that question, you already know the answer to it, right? Because I think
Yes.
the people that are okay with their life don't ask that question. They don't want any more, and that's okay. But yeah, you are worthy of every bit of it. It is okay. It's okay. And is my favorite word. We
Yeah.
put commas and everywhere. And I'm convinced that if you understand what's important, then all of that makes sense. That sentence that we create for yourself, it makes perfect sense because these are all the things that you want. And we get rid of the things. Of course, still have to mow the lawn and do the things that we don't want to do, make food, blah, blah,
Of
blah,
course. Yeah.
but that's different. That's life responsibilities and we outsource as much as we possibly can. But yes, you do. And the thing that shifted everything for me was realizing how much action it takes to get what you want. And sometimes people come and I see it right now. Like people will have these discovery calls with me and they'll be messaging me on social and then they freaking totally disappear. And what happened was they got enough. right? They got enough. And now they went and they put it into practice. And then you see them come back. They don't respond to any messages. They come back a few weeks later because it's like, you know what? It wore off. Right now they're back in their head. Now they're not in the right environment. Now they're looking for another nugget to whatever. And I'm like, dude, let's just like, why not just throttle this thing down and let's go?
Yeah.
And I realized that, if I can stay in that mindset, um, and keep myself in action and always in that environment, like that's when you move mountains. That's like when you said before the call, you were on fire. Well, I am taking every day. And the things that I used to worry about, like sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not going to spend any money, right? Like I grew up in a home with like every single dollar is still there. And my parents, I think, pride themselves on being able to like leave something behind. I don't want anything. I want life experiences. I want to have fun, but that's for them. But that was what was in my nervous system, in my veins. And so it's like, no, spend the freaking money, get the knowledge, spend the money, get the knowledge, take action, spend the money, get the knowledge, take action, spend the money. Like that is now my new cadence of putting myself in these rooms and having conversations. And it's insane how fast you go. Because you're not back here trying to figure out or like, oh, that wasn't a good investment. I don't make a lot of bad investments, but I think you understand what I'm saying is that you can't spend the money and not take the action. And some people do that too. They buy all the courses, but they don't do anything, or they go in
Yeah.
the rooms and they don't do anything. But like, if that's the rhythm, spend the money, get the information, immediately take the action. This whole thing will get sorted out for you. Like you will sort the whole thing out. And then that becomes the way of life. And then you realize that that's how everybody's doing this. They just keep moving. They get up and the only thing that they look in the past is if there's anything to go, okay, what do we learn here? Where do we refine? But boom, we are out the door and we're moving to take this thing to the next level.
Right.
And that's good for the brain. We want that forward momentum.
Yeah. Yeah. The word action is so important, Kristy. You're so right. And for the longest time, and for anyone who's listening and watching this podcast, who that's your thing, that's what you do. You listen and you watch a podcast, whether it's on your way to work or you're walking the dog. Something else that Eric Thomas said, I remember years ago, listening to one of his videos on YouTube, and he was talking about one of his clients that he talked to was talking about, I listen to, podcasts all the time and I'm reading all these books. And you're like, well, that's great.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah. All you're doing is acquiring
consuming
knowledge, right? And they say that, knowledge is power. Well, there's another saying that knowledge is not power. Knowledge plus taking action is power. So for those of you who are listening to this, watching this, take the action, because what Kristy is already talking about, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, Kristy, is that discovery is so important. And we already know what will happen if we don't take the action. Why don't we discover what will happen if we do?
And to add to that, that's such a great point, Ian. You're going to discover so much. Part of discovery is action. Because you get yourself in situations where you learn things, like that is part of the discovery process too, is taking the action and going, oh, okay, you will figure it out on the path.
Right. Yes. And as you figure it out, you start to gain confidence, which then will lead to you taking more action.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful cycle, but you have to jump in. It's kind of like, you're watching somebody do jump rope and they're waiting for their time to jump in. And then once they jump in, they get into that rhythm and they cruise. So it's like, you gotta jump into that cycle and take the action. Well, Kristy, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You have dropped so many knowledge bombs and pearls of wisdom. But I want to leave our viewers and our listeners with information on where to find out more about you, how they can follow you on your socials, get in touch with you if they are looking to take their life, their business to the next level and tap into your coaching.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you and your energy. You lift me up when I'm around you. So thank you for inviting me to have a conversation with you and your listeners. I'm Kristy Kuhl, Kuhl, on all social platforms. Instagram, I think, is Kristy_Kuhl. My website is KristyKuhl.com. You can hit me up. I answer my DMs and my emails. So if you're interested in learning anything more about what I have to offer, I would love to have a conversation and see if it's a right fit for you.
Awesome. You guys, make sure that you do check her out. She is a trailblazer in the utmost right. And again, Kristy, thank you so much for being on the show. And I want to thank all of our listeners and our viewers for tuning into this episode. Remember, It's so important that you stay positive, you stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in and being part of the Positive Persistence family. We're having a great time creating this content, and we truly hope it inspires you to embrace positivity and persistence in your own journey. If this podcast episode inspired you or entertained you, scroll down, hit those stars, and leave a comment. Your 5-star reviews and shares encourage us and help us grow the show. So until next time, stay positive, stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything.